Microsoft is the clear underdog in the releases game, but they're definitely trying their best to keep up. Here's our list of the AAA Xbox One titles for 2020. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Ori may be one of Microsoft's very few exclusives, but it also happens to be the one that's universally loved by everyone. Ori's first adventure introduced us to their knack for balancing effective Metroidvania platforming with a tight, moving storyline that left us in tears. Will of the Wisps hopes to continue the legacy with a new story that finds the Guardian Spirit venturing out from their original magical forest to forge adventures in the world beyond. Based on their E3 presentations, it looks like it'll deliver on all its promises with more nimble movements and a host of new enemies to take down. It's set to release on February 11th, 2020.
Several chase drones are converging on your position. No shit.
Watch Dogs Legion. Legion doesn't fly too far in the future, but it's breaking boundaries by telling a story where every single person can take part in the burgeoning revolution.
You can play as anyone, and they've all got their own gameplay skills.
In this latest entry to the Watch Dogs series, Ubisoft paves the way for the dissolution of the NPC. In their world, each one citizen is equipped with their own traits and skill sets to help in the fight, whether it's the grandma, the executive, or the chill skateboarder. The permadeath aspect of your recruits adds another layer of interest, as it might challenge you to take on a more careful, non-lethal approach to espionage.
There are thousands of possibilities. Whether you've got a knack for gizmos, or you'd rather stalk people from the shadows.
It all sounds great on paper, but we're yet to see how it all unfolds. Unfortunately, all of Ubisoft's biggest titles will be facing delays, so we might have to wait till the second half of 2020. Doom Eternal. It looks like Doom Guy's arrival at the pearly gates is coming a little late. Delayed from their original November release date, a lot of people were disappointed, but with so much loaded into one entry, it's easy to understand. Doom is a franchise built around splitting open demonic heads. In Eternal, they're switching it up by inviting Heaven's ugly multitudes to the party. With an expanded new world, Eternal's focus on mobility and freedom will come in handy in moving in between dimensions. That, plus the new Invasions mode that lets you play the demons themselves, demonstrates an ambition that's worth a few more months of waiting. It's coming out March 20, 2020.
Go!
Bleeding Edge. Blizzard is getting a little bit of competition with the coming of this team-based brawler from Ninja Theory. The studio has mostly focused on the single-player experience, and now they're testing their mettle in the multiplayer scene. Bleeding Edge is a mix of brawler and MOBA gameplay with teams of 4 battling to take control of bases and taking down enemies.
Elegance and agony.
In the last XO19, they showed us a 10-minute gameplay video of their new raptor-like character, Cass. With a roster of unique personalities, it's clear that Bleeding Edge is gonna be one hell of a competitive experience. It's set to release on March 24th, 2020. Cyberpunk 2077. Of course, one of the titles almost every gamer is looking forward to is this new IP from the makers of the Witcher series, CD Projekt Red. They've already set a new bar for fantasy action RPG, and we're all excited to experience what they have to offer in the world of sci-fi FPS. We've already gotten a lot from their 48-minute gameplay, but with so much variety in their living and breathing cyberpunk dystopia, we've only scratched the surface.
We're currently in Pacifica, one of Night City's 6 unique districts. Ongoing gang wars plague this part of the city. Outsiders don't come here if they don't have to. Even by Night City's standards, it's dangerous to those unfamiliar with it.
create everything about your character from their appearance, stats, background stories, and modifications, and then roam around Night City where big corporation is law.
You don't get to do anything in the net unnoticed. There's always someone watching. It could be corpos, or even worse, it could be Netwatch.
Switching to the first-person perspective means that immersion will be at an all-time high, and we can't wait to sink hours upon hours into exploring every corner. It's set to release on April 16th, 2020.
I'm turning on those pumps.
What a pity.
Dying Light 2. The first Dying Light game may have had earned success despite its narrative simplicity, but Dying Light 2 now will focus on giving players the definitive sandbox experience they wanted to bring in the first game. With this coming sequel, developer Techland aims to highlight player choices, giving them direct control over what happens in the story and the world around them. Building on a brand new engine, the city in Dying Light 2 isn't just 4 times bigger. It will also react to whatever decisions you make along the way. And with the added mobility of the new protagonist Aiden Caldwell, it also means more ways of dealing with the zombies of the night. It's set to release in spring 2020. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Quarantine. Ubisoft's Tom Clancy series is taking on something kind of new by going a few years into the future of their Rainbow Six universe. Quarantine is already delivering a different flavor as their teams fight against a mutating alien parasite. We haven't seen much of the game aside from their few teasers, but it's said to show off a brand new 3-player co-op, which lets you get into gunplay and tactics with 2 other friends. As something that aims to be brand new, Ubisoft Montreal assures us that Quarantine will be a friendly place for newcomers to the series. With an early 2020 release window, we're expecting to hear more soon.
Please don't die. Please don't die.
Halo Infinite. Another one of Microsoft's few exclusives, and it looks like it'll mark the return of the much-admired Master Chief. While it was first announced in E3 2018, we finally got a lengthier dose of the title in E3 2019 with a 5-minute cinematic that announced itself as gameplay. Unfortunately, there wasn't any in-game footage. In fact, there's little we know about Microsoft's upcoming title other than the fact Master Chief is taking the lead once more, and that there won't be a Battle Royale mode unlike every other FPS today. It's currently slated for a holiday 2020 release window, and details about their beta testing periods will hopefully come through soon. Tales of Arise. It's been a while since we've had a new Tales game set in another world with new characters. Tales of Arise builds its foundations on a brand new engine, creating a mix of new and old into one game-changing installment. It sticks with the cel-shaded effect of their previous games while adding richer lighting and watercolor-like graphics. From the looks of things, it certainly looks more immersive, letting us dive into their complex twofold storyline set between 2 planets. There's been some promise of updated combat mechanics from Bandai Namco, but it's not quite as obvious as in their previous. Hopefully, we do see it once it comes out sometime in 2020. Crossfire X. There's plenty of names in the FPS market, but at least in some parts of Asia, there's none as big as Crossfire. Well loved on the PC, Microsoft is bringing the game exclusively to the Xbox One as Crossfire X. Along with its entrance to the platform comes a slew of improvements that will enhance the shooting experience. It's still gonna be a free-to-play experience, but it comes loaded with features like aim-down sights and a Battle Royale mode. Microsoft's X019 even gave us a deeper look into gameplay. With Remedy, the developers of Max Payne and Alan Wake, working on its solo campaign of Global Risk vs. Blacklist, gives the game even more promise. There's no definite release window yet, but we can expect it to drop sometime in 2020. Microsoft Flight Simulator. Flight Simulator was the throwaway reveal in Microsoft's E3 presentation, but it was anything but forgettable. A game that has its beginnings in the 70s, Flight Simulator makes a landing in the new generation with a hangar full of new features and improvements. For a game that needs realism to work, Microsoft gave this their signature superstar treatment, cranking the environment's scale and physics to 11. With 4K support to boot, this is going to be the breathtaking simulation to beat, and it's coming out this 2020. Battletoads. Honestly, this new Battletoads game feels like a fish out of water in this list of gems, but we gotta hand it to Microsoft for even having the balls to actually remake one of the longest running video game memes. Battletoads first won our hearts in the 90s, establishing itself as one of the hardest, most frustrating games of its time, and thus spawning a meme and a TV show on the side. Rare's attempt at a revival isn't exactly all that compelling with its weird-looking art style. However, with its arrival to the Xbox Game Pass, it's definitely one to pick up for some couch party chaos. It's been due to release in 2019 for a while now, so if it doesn't, we should expect it at the nearest GameStop soon into 2020. Grounded. Also announced at the XO19, this new game from the makers of Pillars of Eternity, Fallout New Vegas, and recently Outer Worlds explores a world that's completely different from their previous creations. Taking a page out of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Grounded follows the story of 4 kids shrunken down to ant size in the name of science. While it isn't the run-of-the-mill fantasy RPG, if there's one thing we know about Obsidian, it's how they can deliver a fantastic narrative in even the most outlandish premises. Turning the small world into a vast, towering ecosystem of monstrosities, there's already a lot of promise in the game, and we can't wait to see it this spring.
Time changes everyone.
Age of Empires 4. Also getting some time in the XO19 spotlight is the latest installment to Microsoft's Age of Empires series. The first main entry in more than 10 years, the much-awaited sequel is in good hands as the makers of the equally esteemed RTS Company of Heroes has signed on for the job. Relic Entertainment is lending their expertise, and the first good news we've received is that there's gonna be no microtransactions in their watch. The game was announced last 2017, but the XO19 presentation showed us footage of the game's pre-alpha gameplay. Compared to previous entries, Age 4 shows off an expanded era, which means a lot more factions, units, and nations to play with. They're stirring a lot of excitement, but sadly no release date yet. Everwild. Microsoft pulled out all the stops in the recent XO19. Other than their many deals and discounts, Rare also stepped up to announce their brand new IP. Details about this new game are still pretty hard to come by, but their announcement trailer will pique the interest of many adventure fans. Like an opening to The Lion King, Everwild welcomes us into a world that's natural yet seemingly magical, filled with golden hour rays of sun, quiet nighttime scenes, and charming creatures. In recent interviews, Rare was quoted saying that they want to create engaging, meaningful experiences and brand new ways to play. Even though the details are sparse, players have gone on to compare it with Nintendo's Breath of the Wild. Hopefully, Rare delivers.